record. All right. So some of students already studied elementary math with me before. Some students are new, and some students just want to try a couple lessons to see if they can follow it. Okay, I just said that the first couple lessons maybe you still feel, mathematically maybe simple. I just say the concepts may be not easy to understand. Okay, after the first two lessons, then we become more abstract. Okay, so this is a very special course and transfer the student from basic mathematics to a more abstract mathematics. So from 5th grade to 6th grade, this kind of things. Okay, so you need we needed to learn more abstract mathematics. So we transfer gradually to abstract mathematics. And that's really the purpose why your parents, register this course for you. I have to give you 3 reasons. Okay, number 1, okay, we try to learn all the mathematics required for middle school. Then you say, well, I'm going to learn the middle school anyway. So no, actually, it's not always true. Maybe all the topics you will mention, the teachers in the school, but does not mean you're going to, understand all the materials, because some topics teachers probably slightly covered because they have to make sure all the students can move on to the high school. So some students don't want to study, but still want to make sure they can do it. So that's why they cannot give you, a reasonable test. Just make sure everybody's happy about when the student get A. Okay, so we're going to make sure you learn all the topics in mathematics, okay, which are required for middle school students. Number 2, gradually we're going to improve our problem-solving skills. Okay, problem-solving skill, you need to practice. You need to, read the examples or listen to me, so, explain how to solve this type of problems. Number 3, the purpose. Number 3 is to learn how to express mathematics correctly. So when I give you the homework assignment, you cannot just, I've got the answers, that's it. I wanted to have a notebook separate, okay, and then write down the problem number and show all the details and how much detail you can put there, just like what I did in the class, or you can ask your parents, hey, that's enough or not, because your parents attend the middle school, elementary school, most of them are in China, and then they know how much you have to put there. Okay, so I believe that almost all the problems in this textbook, Prealgebra, your parents can help you. But after this course, not every parent can help you to learn more advanced mathematics. Okay, so after this course, there will be advanced mathematics. Then you finish the middle school. Okay, all right. So let me start with addition and multiplication. Okay, you learn that when you're 2nd grade, maybe 1st grade. Okay, so so let me summarize the rules which I copy from the book. Okay, so for addition, you know that you learn this notation, addition, 3 plus 4, like equals 7, for example. So the meaning of the 3 plus 4 means you have 3 items, 4 items put together, total you have 7 items. So that's called addition. Okay, add the 2 numbers together. But in an abstract way, is that addition is just like a plus symbol here. So A plus B. So there are certain algebraic rules will satisfied by this addition. So those are the basic 3 rules I want to talk about. When you talk about addition, you always means 2 numbers. Okay, 2 numbers, A plus B. So the first rule says it's commutative. That means A plus B equals B plus A. So for example, 2 plus 3 equals 3 plus 2, and equals 5. Okay, so that's obvious to you, but let's summarize. This is a rule we have to follow, because if otherwise you're making mistakes. Then we also have a so-called associative rule. Okay, this means that if A plus B parenthesis means parenthesis is A plus B first, okay, then plus C. That should be equal to A plus parenthesis B plus C. So B plus C first, whatever you give, if you give us three numbers, you cannot add all three numbers together right away. You have to do pair by pair, right? So a plus b and plus, so you can check that, right? 2 plus 3 and plus 1, right? As it should be equal to 2 plus 3 plus 1, 3 plus 1 first. So, that the answer will be 6, okay? So just because the second associative rules, then you can remove the parenthesis, because otherwise you cannot do that. Because when you define the addition, you always take a pair of numbers, not like three numbers. We never define addition of three numbers before. That's the definition, right? So because of the second rule, so you can always a plus b plus c really means a plus b, then plus c, or a plus b plus c. So there's no difference. That because you can no difference. That's why it doesn't matter which pair of numbers you can pick up first to do addition. So this is therefore we can simply write a plus b plus c. Okay, remember that. Otherwise you cannot do that because your original definition is just add two numbers. Okay, you cannot talk about addition of three numbers. Okay, so in mathematics we have to build on some very fundamental concept, step by step, just build the buildings. Okay, so otherwise that building will collapse if you don't do that. Okay, but it's not easy to understand the concept. I have to say that. So it took a long time for human being to figure out the zero, the meaning of zero. So introduce a notation of zero. But here, right, summarize that zero is some number. Okay, if we add it to any number, it does not make any change. Okay, that number is called a zero. So a plus 0 equals a. And that's obvious, right? You know that your parents already told you that 3 plus 0 equals 3 because 0 is nothing, right? That's okay. Right, so now we accept the notation here, a plus b plus c, and really means could be a plus b first, then plus c, or b plus c first, then a plus the sum of b plus b and c. Okay. All right, so now let's take a look at any examples. The first example, I'm trying to select some exercise in the book and do it in the class. But when I assign the homework to you, I usually select those problems called the review problems or challenger problems for you to do that. Okay. So the first one, if you're given, so now you see that you can have a list of the numbers and without the parenthesis, and we say trying to find the sum of that. So that means you can doesn't matter which pair of the numbers you add together first, right? Now, all right. So let me say. So if you have answers you want to show to me, submit it to me privately. Click my name, and submit the answer directly to me. Okay. So I know whether you got answers. Okay. Great. So the way we do, okay, and the way we do is we're going to add regroup as regroup as the numbers. Okay, regroup as the numbers, and the 99 plus 101, and we regroup and put the parentheses there, and 99 plus 101, and because by the commutative rule you can always interchange the two numbers, but that's not true for subtraction. Okay, so 99 plus 101, and if you do that you can quickly get, because 99 plus 101, it's going to be 200, right? So it's have a 200 and 200 and 200. But as I told you, 200 plus 200 is 400, right? It doesn't matter which two pairs of numbers, which pair of the numbers you can add it together first. So and again 400, the first pair of the numbers, and the 200, right? Then you got 600. That's the answer. Okay. I know majority all of you can do the problems. Let's understand why we can do this way. Just because number one is you can always interchange the two numbers in the addition. Okay. Number two is you can it doesn't matter which pair of the numbers you add together first. So we are applying the above rules. Then rules are very important. We have to set the rules, and within the rules, and you can do the problems. Okay. Just like that in the society, you have to have a laws, right? With everybody should be should follow obeying the laws. Otherwise it's illegal, right? All right. So that's the first problem, and then take a look at the second problem. Now, this problem here, we put some parenthesis here. Parenthesis means in mathematics, hey, the group of these numbers should add together first. Okay, but inside the parenthesis, there are already 5 numbers there. 5 numbers. 5 numbers. So it doesn't matter still which pair of numbers add together. But we really want to do that. And it's not easy because look at the 5 numbers inside the parenthesis, right? Inside the parenthesis, they are very strange numbers. Of course, they are the unit digits all 3, but it's not easy to add all the numbers. You should step back to take a look at all the numbers, right? So the first step, you remove all the parentheses, right? Right, remove all the parentheses. After, and then doesn't matter. This means it doesn't matter which pair of the numbers you're going to choose. Okay, so you can remove the parentheses. Okay, then you can choose any pair of the numbers to add together. You can choose any numbers of pairs together. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I got lots of answers. Okay, and then you will see that. Okay, you can always do, the first number is the last number, like 3 plus 47. Okay, and then 13 plus 37, right? 23 plus 27, 33 plus 17, and 43 plus 7. Okay, so if you, now this is 43 plus 7 plus 7 and 33 plus 17. But you will see that if you group in that way, it will be very nice. Okay, and then you see that it's going to be 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50, and how many 50 there? 550 there. Okay, right? Then you get 50, 50, 50, 50. Then, if you already know a multiplication, just 50 times 5. But I'm not going to talk about multiplication right now. So you can do step by step. These two get grouped together, 100, this group 100, right? 100 and 150. So then you get 200 and plus 50, then have 250. That's it. Well, I'm not going to use a multiplication here right now. But so regroup of the numbers. It's a very important skill in order to do computation quickly. Okay, but certain rules you have to follow. The rules I already set at the very beginning. Okay, one is called associative rule, another is called addition rule. Okay, those are the rules you have to follow. All right. So now take a look at the next problem. As I said, that those are the the problems here are pretty elementary. All we need to learn is this concept, what kind of rules we follow actually behind all the computations. All right, so let's take a look at this problem. So it's 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way to 50, then 99 plus 98 plus 97 all the way to 50. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to regroup them. Okay, so maybe we can try like that. 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way 49 and 50, and then 99, 98, and start a new line. Okay. Okay. Now I can regroup them, right? So 1 plus 99, right? It's gonna be 100. 2 plus 98 is 100. 3 plus 97 is 100. So every time you get 100, okay, you always get 100. So the question is how many 100s there? Actually, it's 5100. There are 5100. So, okay, I have to use a multiplication. Otherwise, it takes too much time. So that's a 50 times 100. And so it's 5,000. Okay, so you get 5,000. So that is another way to regroup the numbers. Okay, you get a pair, there are 50 pairs of numbers, but then you have to find the right match, right? Otherwise, it's taking forever to do the computation. Great. So I think you learn this, and then after you understand the addition, And let's move on to the multiplication. Now, there are certain rules here I want to list. Multiplication, what kind of rules we're going to summarize? Okay, we know that 2 times 3 is going to be 3 times 2, which is going to be 6. Okay, the geometric meaning of the product is, think about this picture. Okay, so you have 2 rows, 3 columns. Okay, so 2 times 3 literally tells you how many square there inside this rectangle. So that tells you how many square there inside in this rectangle. The one side is 2, other side is 3. But 3 times 2, okay, that means this, have 3 rows, 2 columns. So technically that, if you obviously they're equal, the size, it just rotate this rectangle, you can get another one. So no bigger difference. Okay. And another rule is called the Associative Rule for multiplication. And that rule is, 2 times 3 times 7 should be equal to 2 times 3 times 7. That's what we find out. So we summarize, or you can verify by numbers, put the numbers there, and it's always true. When you're talking about multiplication, just like a sum addition, right? You have to take 2 pairs. You have to take a pair of numbers to talk about multiplication. You cannot say as a product of 3 numbers. It does not make sense at the very beginning, unless you have this associative rule. Okay, so you have because this is true. Okay, so A times, so then we can write A times B times C, because this really means A times B first and times C, or it doesn't matter which pair of the numbers you do the multiplication first. Okay, it's up to your choice. Therefore, I really don't want to put the parentheses there, because otherwise you have 3 numbers there. You have to tell me which pair of the numbers you're going to do the multiplication first, right? So now, just because this associative rule, just same like addition, it doesn't matter. So I can remove the parentheses, A times B times C. Okay, if you're given 3 numbers, like 2 times 3 times 7, actually what we're doing is, it maybe 2 times 3 first. Okay, it's gonna be 6 times 7, it's 42. You get number. Another student maybe do this different way, 2 times 21, 23 times 7 is 21, right? Then 2 times 21 is a 42. So that should be end up with the same answers. Okay, so that's it. But also very important rule is called the multiplying by 1. 1 is a special number. Okay, any number multiplied by 1 is going to be 1. It's going to be itself. Does not change that. Okay, it does not change that. Another one is multiplied by 0. 0 kills all the numbers. Okay, turn all the numbers to 0. Okay, so those are 2 special rules. We just need to memorize and use it. All right. So now let's take a quick look at the following problem. So what is the value of the product? 25 times 17 times 4 times 20. Now, because I said that, because associative rule, therefore you don't need to put the parentheses there to to talk about the product of so many numbers. Okay, but when you do the computation, right, you still have to do invisibly, you have to put a parenthesis here, because of which pair of the numbers you're going to do the multiplication first, right? Which pair of the numbers you're going to do multiplication first. So I think you have to regroup it, and you can easily, so you can, so first of all, you can regroup them, it's 25 times 4, right? And then 17 times 20, okay? That's probably the better way to do, right? And then 25 times 4, we know that's 100, right? And the 17 times 2, 17 times 2 is doubled, right? It's a 34. 340, right? Then, any number times 100, just add 2 zeros at the end. Okay, so then you can do quickly. The reason you can do that just because number one, it's commutative. A times b. You can interchange those two numbers, right? Number two, you can always regroup them. Which it doesn't matter which pair of the numbers you can do the multiplication. It's guaranteed you get the same answers. Okay. So those are the rules. Sounds simple, but sometimes if you don't use it correctly, you will make mistakes. Okay, so let's take a look at the next problem, right? Let's take a look at the next problem. You have a 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. How many twos there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5, 5, 5, 5. They have so many 5, right? 5, 5 set. So let's do the same way. And regroup them. It's 2 times 5, 2 times 5, and you put the parentheses there. Okay. All right, so 2 times 5, 2 times 5, 2 times 5. And then you get 10, right? Times 10, times 10, times 10, times 10. So multiply this out, and how many is there, right? So, you put the lots of 5 zeros. All right. So that's a quick way to solve the problem. Just regroup them, and you put the parenthesis on the pair of the numbers. Okay, on each pair of the numbers. Because when if you decide 2 times 5, then you put a parenthesis. Okay. All right. Next, I want to mention, because we already mentioned addition and multiplication. So there are certain, we find out there are certain rules that follow. Okay, this is called the multiplication distributes of the addition. Okay, so if A, B, C are numbers, then A times B plus C equals A times B plus A times C. But you can also put the answer on the right-hand side, B plus C times A equals B times A plus C times A. Okay, how do we get this, right? How do you memorize that? When you do the multiplication, you have to multiply each of them separate. So A times B, okay, then plus A times C. That's how do you get, okay? That's how do we get that. So same here, B plus C times A, then, so first of all, BA, then CA, okay? And usually I put a connection between those two numbers. Otherwise, you will miss some terms when you do the multiplication. So this is a mixture. After you learn addition and multiplication, and then you needed to learn this formula, okay? This is a very important formula. And it's used everywhere when you do the algebra, right? So okay, so let's take a look at the next problem. All right, 11 plus 43 times 11 times 57. Now, without using the formula, right? Without using the formula, it's pretty complicated. The reason is you can see that, right? You have to 11 times 43, right? 11 times 43. Then also have to do the 11 times 57. So it's pretty complicated. So the best way to do is using the above formula. Okay, the first formula, right? A is 11, B is 43, C is 57. So you take 11 out. Okay, that's the first step. Then 43 plus 57 is going to be 100. Then that's easy. Just, it's 1100. Okay, so that is a quick way to do. So you apply the formula. Those are the formula we already verified. So don't worry about that. Okay, then just apply the formula. Okay, I found out those are formulas simple, but there are some students always forget it when you do the multiplication. You will see that, when you simplify, when you do the computation, simplify equations, you end up with a long answer. Then you say, oops, I forgot to do the, forgot to multiply out all the terms. Okay. So in order to get all the terms, it's better to put connection on each top of this, on each pair of the numbers you can do. Okay, like AB and BC, for example, right? Then AB plus BC. All right. So now take a look at the next problem. You know how to do it, right? All right. So first of all, in order to apply the above formula, right? First of all, you need to apply the commutative rule, okay? Step by step if you want to follow the steps, okay? Then you have the common fact, 16. So then you take 16 out. Yeah, the formula we are using here is B plus C times A is going to be BA plus CA, right? Yeah, I have to mention this formula. Then, okay, then 32 plus 48, right, is going to be 80. Yeah. Right, 80 times 16. So then you have to do the 80 times you have to do it by hands. Okay, that's going to be 1,280. So that is at least it's a quick way to solve the problem. Okay, much quicker than do the multiplication for each pair of numbers. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Well, here, well, that's a trivial problem. Okay, why? Because when you look at the term in the middle, any number times 0 is going to be 0, right? So there's a 0 in the middle. So it's just 10 plus 0 plus 111. But 0 added to 10 is still 10. So then that's going to be 121. Okay, 110 plus 111, it's going to be 121. All right, that's it. Okay. All right, we need yeah, that's about the quick review on the addition and multiplication. And there's a very important rule is those two formulas, very important formulas, those two, the multiplication distributes over the additions. Okay. So now let's understand the negative number. Okay. It's called a negation. Okay. Well, first of all, along the coordinate line, how do we understand negative number? You have the origin at the 0, right? So that we mark it as 0. So on the right hand side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the left hand side, we're -1, -2, -3. So it's like a temperature, it's 0 degree. And above that, with positive number, 4 degree, 5 degree, 6 degree. And today is very cold, maybe -10 degrees. So it's negative, okay? The line could be vertical, could be horizontal. If it's horizontal, the number on the left-hand side of 0 are negative number. The number on the right-hand side of the number, a coordinate line are positive numbers, okay? That's the meaning of the negative number, okay? But how do we make the definition much better, correct way? What does it mean negative? Okay, here's the definition. Let's understand this. It's not easy to figure out, okay? So if you're given x, okay, what does it mean negative x? Okay, negative x is the unique number when it's added to x should be 0. Okay, sounds interesting, right? So we use addition to define negative number, negative x. But x itself could be positive number, could be negative number. Okay, remember x is just some variable, it's some number. So negative x, so remember, negative x is defined to be, okay, that's a little bit abstract concept. Negative x is defined to be the number when added to x should be 0. Okay, so that's why 2, negative 2 is a number which is added to 2 should be equal to 0. Okay, okay. And doesn't matter. It's maybe you can write it this way. You know, it's the order doesn't matter. And here I can put the parenthesis, I don't, it's up to me. Okay, it doesn't make any big difference. Put the parenthesis because parenthesis just want to separate with the rest of it. Okay, so that is the definition of a negative x. Okay, this is a definition of a negative x. Definition. Okay, we should try to figure out the difference between negative definition and the formula. Okay, mathematics. Okay, it's a foundation. You know, we try to define things. First, it sounds trivial, and then they're not contradict to each other. And then based on that, we're going to build as a mathematical building. Okay, and so it's has a solid base, and the same reason, you know, we want to learn the basic mathematics. Okay, and then based on, you know, then we're going to learn more in the future added to that. Okay, so let's prove. Okay, let's prove that -1 times 3 is going to be -3. Huh? How do we prove this? -1 times 3 is going to be 3. Okay. How do you prove that? In order to prove -1 times 3 is -3, all you have to do is just -1 times 3, this number added to 3 is going to be 0. Now, why this is going to be 0? The reason is, here's a proof. Here's -1 times 3, and the 3 is 1 times 3, right? 1 times any number is going to be 3. Okay, you know, I hope I'm not confused. Yeah, but we needed to understand why this is true. Okay, and then yeah, every step should be legal in the sense you have to use some rules already there, you know, like given there. So now you can take 3 out, right? Remember the formula, right? A B plus C times A is going to be BC times CA, right? So you use that formula, you can get this. And then -1 plus 1 is 0. Why? Because that's a definition of -1. So it's going to be 0 times 3. Now 0 times any number is going to be 0, right? We already set that. So it's 0. So therefore, some number, which is -1 times 3, added to 3 is going to be 0. So by definition, -1 times 3 is going to be -3. So it's by definition. It's from the definition, okay? Right? So that is an argument. Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's trivial things. And when you do make an argument, you know, you needed to based on what you learned before. You cannot use something we haven't learned. Okay. Of course, when you get it, you know, after pre-algebra, you say, oh, that's trivial. Why have to prove it? So we needed to learn, prove something based on the logic. Okay. And you have based on the known facts. Okay. We learned step by step. All right, so let's do the following exercise. All right, let's do the following exercise. So this is negative 631 plus. Now this expression makes sense. We have to be very careful about these expressions. Okay, the reason is you know, well, we, you know, if we mixed up with a negative numbers, I have to be very careful. Okay. So we have to make sure the parentheses are correct, everything, you know. All right. So think about this problem, you know. Of course, you can do all. You can solve the problem quickly. Questions. Can we do correctly based on all the rules we have, right? So this can be written as negative 631. You know, we have 3 numbers, right? So we don't need to, you know, we don't need to put the parentheses there. I can remove it. Then you can regroup them. Okay. Then these 2 numbers can group us together. Okay. Now, by definition, negative 631 plus 631, that should be 0. So it's 0 plus 114, x going to be 114. Okay. 0 added to any number is going to be 0. Okay. Every step, okay, we have to make sure to do it mathematically correct. Okay. Okay. Sometimes we just get used to that, you know, oh, I know how to do it, but then we have to follow the rules. We, you know, we needed to understand those rules behind my computation, right? Now let's understand why this is true. Negative x equals x. Okay, this is not a trivial, actually. It's not a trivial. So question is, how do you prove it? How do you prove it? Okay. How do we prove it? Okay, let's try and prove it in 2 different ways. Okay, we're trying to prove the following. So we prove that using the fact, okay, prove it using the fact this plus this can be 0. Okay. So we we can do this following. Step 1. Okay. We consider x plus negative x, okay, and plus negative x, okay, right? So that is going to be 0, right? It's the same. It's because these 2 is added together 0. Okay, that's one hand. Okay, that's the first part. And the second part, okay, second part is just because, okay, you consider this 2. Negative x, negative x, they are opposite. So according to the definition of the negative, the number, right? So this just equal to x plus 0. So it's going to be x. Okay. So you look at the left-hand side, they're all equal, right? This side is equal. So that implies, negative x should be equal to x. That's a proof, you see? Yeah, that's called the proof. Okay, proof. Okay, that's not easy to understand. Okay, so I should say that in public schools, okay, we haven't learned seriously, you know, so-called proofs in mathematics. And even you study plane geometry, there are lots of course material be canceled out in the curriculum. So very few students really understand the proofs. The proofs is just based on the rules you already mentioned in the book set. Then use that, okay? And you cannot create your own rules to prove some identities, okay? So that's a proof. Just like you're acting like a lawyer, you know, in the court, you want to prove someone's guilty. You cannot, oh, I think he's guilty, but you cannot say that. You know, you have to quote the rules, quote the laws, and then use the laws and the evidence combined together, you can prove someone is guilty, okay? If you're a jury, that's different. You just based on your common sense, you say this is guilty, okay? So I try to give you this one. Now, okay, the second way is a multiplication. It's multiplied by -1, then it must be -1. Okay, and that sounds trivial, but it's not really trivial. Okay, so how do I prove that? I'm going to give you another proof. Okay, proof. In order to prove -1 times x is going to be -1, negative x, you have to prove that this should be equal to 0, right? You have to prove that this is going to be 0. So to prove that it's going to be 0, I need a, right? This is going to be 1 times x, right? 1 times x is always x. We're using the, here we're using the fact. Using the fact we already set at the beginning, 1 times any number is going to be x, okay? Then you take x out, okay? There's another rule for, okay? This is called distributive property to factor x, okay? And then -1 plus x is going to be 0, right? Okay, so that is 0 times any number is going to be 0. Just because that, this implies by definition, and -1 times x really should be the negative x. Okay, that's the definition of x. Okay, so we got this. That's a proof. That's the end of the proof. Okay. All right. I'm going to explain why this is a -3 times -3 is going to be 3, right? You have to explain that. How do you do that? Okay. How do we do that? Okay. All right, so we are going to step by step, I'm going to explain to you. So first of all, I explain to you why this is a, so -2 times -2 times 3, first of all. Let's see. This is going to be, right, -1 times 2 and times 3. So this product of 3 numbers, so it doesn't matter which two do the multiplication first. And then -1 times any number is going to be -2 times 3, okay? So that's the first step, right? That is the first step. Then the second step is, this can try, and then -2 times -3, okay, is going to be negative, okay, as we said that, you can always take the repeatedly do the same way, you can replace 3, okay, and it's the same idea. Replace 3 by -3, it's the same because it's just numbers. This number never play any rules. Okay, you can take this negative sign out, and then 2 times -3 is -2 times 3. Now you have a negative, that, remember, right? And that's going to be 2 times 3. Okay, remember negative x is going to be x. We already did that. Right. So I should mention, I should put the -3 here, and -3, and then -3, and then -3 and 3. Okay. So using this fact, I can continue and answer this question. Okay. So we summarize those 2 important rules. Those are the 2 important rules. -x times y, you can put a negative out, and sounds trivial, but this is they're not trivial. Okay, you have to give a proof, and so I'm not going to waste time to prove all of them. But as you can see that you can always you can only use the rules I mentioned earlier than that. Then you can quote them. Okay, so those are the four rules. Okay, those are the 1, 2, 3, 4 sounds simple, right? I just already showed to you why this is true. -3 times -2, -2 times -3 is just 2 times 3. 2 negative sign is gone. Okay, and let me mention the above one. Okay, let's give a proof. Okay, trust me, this is always true, right? Proof of this. Okay, proof of this. How do you prove that? So step 1. Okay, this according to the above computation is -1 times x plus y. Okay, that's the first step. Okay, step 2. This is the one I use the property -1 times x equals -x. Okay, so I'm using this fact. Step 2, I multiply this out, -1 times x plus -1 times y. So I'm using the fact a times b plus c equals ab plus ac. Okay, right? Every step, you have to mention with the formula, you use. Then again, -1 times x is -x, -1 times so this is a -1 plus -y. Okay, right? So we solve the problem, and we're using the fact again. -1 times x is just -x. All right. When you say two negative numbers must multiply but that's not the original definition. So you can that's not the rules we have here. We have to step by step clearly. Some, of course, it's not contradictory with what we have here, but this is those are the rules we follow. Of course, later on you just think, oh I have two negative sign, negative becomes positive. But what is really behind that is, it's not, -x times -y, and that we just prove that using examples. It's not based on the rules we set before. How do we, the definition of the -x? Okay. All right, let's take a look at the following example. Okay, now we have a formulas we can use, and we can use this formula. I can quickly solve the problem. Okay. How do you do that? Well, step 1. Okay, step 1, 210, I'm going to multiply this out. That's 105 times 2. Okay, the reason I want to do that is because I can get a common factor. Okay, I get a common factor. So it's 105 times 10 plus 105 times -9. So now you have a common factor. It's 10 plus -9. Okay, 10 plus -9 is going to 10 minus 9, and which is going to be 1. Okay, and the y is 1. You see, that's obvious, right? Your mother already told you how to do them. This is 10 minus 9, but actually this is really is going to be, how do you get y? It's going to be 1. It's actually is 9 plus 1. 10 is 1 plus 9 plus -9. 1 plus -9 is because 0. That's the reason it is 1. Okay, of course we skip many steps, just say 10 minus 9 is just 1. Okay, that's how do we define subtraction in a different way. Okay, but here we do not define subtraction directly. We define subtraction as addition. A minus b is a minus b is a plus -b. Okay, all right. All right, so now we let's take a look at the next problem. Okay, so let's try to solve this. Okay, what is the best way to solve? Well, I think we have a positive 719 and negative 719. I think we probably, yeah, we take the sign out, negative sign out, right? The first one, I can take the negative sign out. Okay, I can, this I still put a negative sign. Okay. And the last one, actually, you can remove the negative sign, remember, right? Okay. Then, as you see that, you know, this is yeah, this can be more precise as addition, a negative number. So those two are going to be 0. Okay, these two are going to be 0. Okay, so plus negative 93040. Okay, you move this together, and here, just because it's going to be 0, right? I'm copy again. Okay, so that is going to be 0. Okay, this is going to be 0. So because they have the opposite sign. Okay, and here 4943 minus okay, sorry, 93, I copied wrong. 9343 minus 9340. Okay, okay, and the plus 0, and that's gonna be 2. Okay, 2 plus 0, which is 2. All right, so that is that's how do we solve the problem. Just regroup them, but be careful, you know. After we practice, and we probably just memorize all the rules, and you can freely use them, and you don't worry about the exact meaning of negative x. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but you know, addition, right? For addition, we know that a plus b equals b plus a. But clearly, a minus b is not going to be b minus a. That's what I want to warn you. Okay. The reason is just because this is you know, the subtraction is defined to be the sum of, you know, the sum of two numbers. Okay. Yeah. The subtraction is defined to be a plus negative of the number. Okay, that's just because of definition of subtraction. Okay, so let's record that first. Okay, so then for addition, you can switch the order. You know, you can switch the order. You can write negative b plus a. That's okay, right? But it's not b minus a. Okay, you cannot just interchange a and b. Okay, those. Okay, just because the subtraction is defined as a addition of a and the negative b, but you can interchange those two variables. You know, if there's plus in the middle. Okay, so you get the negative plus a. All right. So why x minus x is 0 then? Well, x minus x is just because this by definition is plus, okay, plus negative x. And by the definition, it is going to be 0 because that's the definition of negative x. Okay, that's trivial, right? So so we can, let's understand this one. A plus b equals c, right? And why a is going to be b minus c. Okay, a is b minus c is we add a negative b to both sides. Okay, step 1, and that's parenthesis here first, right? But then you can always regroup them. Okay, and here because b plus negative b, c plus negative b, just simply write c minus b. Okay, so this implies a plus 0 equals c minus b. That implies a equals c minus b. So it takes it's not like now after you understand that, then you can say, okay, in order to solve this equation, let's move b to the right hand side, but don't forget to change the sign. Okay, I remember that, right? So, but why is this true? You know, why is this true? Now you understand. So you can say that, okay, it's going to be c minus b. Just move b to the right hand side. And why you can do that? Now here's a proof. Okay. All right. That's the subtraction. All right. So now we have a certain. Yeah. Let's. I'm going to mention those certain rules in the subtraction. Okay. Those are the rules we have to understand. So x plus minus negative y is going to be x plus y. Negative x negative y is going to be negative x plus y, and I think we already I mentioned this earlier. Okay, so negative x minus y is going to be negative x plus y, and yeah. So let me explain let me prove this, the last one. Okay, so how do you prove that? Negative x minus y is viewed as negative 1 times x minus y, right? X plus negative 1. Right? So now you can this multiplication, distributes over the addition. So negative 1 times x plus negative 1 times negative 1. Okay. Then this is negative x, right? Okay, we already proved that. And then this will be plus, it's also negative and negative y. But negative y, remember, is just the y. Okay, so actually we're using what we learned, we proved at the very at the earlier time, and then we use that. So we don't use a formula again prove in the future, but we use a formula prove the very beginning. So that is how do we prove. Okay, and we also have those formulas and why they're true. Why they're true. Okay, so let me prove the first one. A times b minus c is equal to ab and ac, using the fact a times negative y equals negative x times y. Okay. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, this is going to be a times b minus c is going to be a times b plus negative c, right? That's a legal step. Then negative c is some number, okay? Then you have an ab, a times negative c. So we actually using this factor. Okay, we are using this fact. Okay, so we are using this fact here. Then we use above formula. It's AB, it's plus negative AC, right? We're using the fact x minus, yeah. Okay. Then by definition, that's AB minus AC. Okay, that's by definition. Okay, that's how do we define it. Okay, this is by definition of subtraction. By definition of subtraction. I think that the concept is a little bit difficult, confused, but all those formulas are simple to memorize. So if you really have a trouble to understand the concept, that's okay, as long as you memorize the correct formulas and use it. Okay, so let's take a look at this problem. What is the value of this number? Okay, let's compute it. How do you do that? Right. So you have you see that, right? You have you see 83, actually it's going to be 0 quickly because you regroup them 85 times 33 times 22, and here's 33 times 22 times 85. It doesn't matter which parenthesis you use, right? And then then you can interchange those two. That's why you can always interchange all the terms. So it's 85 times 33 times 22. That's why it's going to be 0. You don't need to multiply them out. Okay, and let me explain why this is true. If you have two numbers, y minus x equals 7, and what is the value of x minus y? Okay, x minus y. How do you get x minus y? Right. All you have to do is you multiply both sides by not by just negative, right? It's negative. Negative for y minus x is going to be negative 7. So then this we already know that this is going to be negative y plus x, which is negative 7. Then you can interchange that. That's going to be x plus negative y, right? It's going to be negative 7, and which is going to be x minus y equals negative 7. So I think my time is up. So I stop here. And those are another, problem itself is not difficult. I think it's a concept we need to understand. Okay. So I'm stopping here, and I'm going to send this a homework. I suppose everybody has a book. So you just do the problems assigned to you, and I hope you follow all the using all the formula correctly. And I said that the first two lessons are pretty fundamental, simple, just a concept needed to understand. Okay, bye bye.